Good afternoon, good day, good morning, wherever you might be in our global viewing audience. Welcome to another episode of The Digital Edge, coming to you from the studios of the IT Academy at Jeff Tech, Jefferson County Du Bois AVTS in Reynoldsville, Pennsylvania. And I am here, my name is Sam Otero, I'm the instructor of the Digital Media Arts program at Jeff Tech. We're here in the studio with a full complement of students and a special guest today. We're going to hear from Mr. Steve Sensebaugh about his pathway in video production and small business and entrepreneurship. And we're going to learn a little bit about the film project, 48-hour film project in Pittsburgh. Students are going to have an opportunity to speak with Steve and learn about his life, his education, and what's coming up with the film projects. Mr. Sensebaugh, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. What do you think of the facility?
Oh my! It brings back memories. I didn't go to this specific school, but just seeing all the video production going on in the broadcasting just brings back memories, and just want to play and dabble in. But I'll let the students learn more.
I will gladly take some of the stress that was upon myself this morning getting things set up and give it to you. So you're more than welcome to do that. That's great. A couple of my students here on the desk with us. Destiny. Destiny is with us for the very first time ever. She seems a little nervous, but I think she's going to do great. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, she should do fine. I did it last year for my first time, and I was surprised how well I did. I just kind of pretended that the camera wasn't there and focused off on it and just pretended like I was talking to another one of my classmates. That's all I did to get through it.
You know, and we can talk about that. We can talk about, you know what? Let's start the conversation off with that. What do you think? Being genuine. How does that affect you in the real world, Steve? You went and you learned the theory at a similar program to this at the Indiana Career Tech Center. You went on to school and worked theory and worked some of the real world through Du Bois Business College. You can talk with you about that. Through it all, now you're in the real world. You're serving clients. You're doing your thing. You're hustling to make that paycheck. Being genuine, how important is that to the process?
Oh my, it's the most important, I think. I think that's the best thing in this industry is networking, meeting people, talking to people. Can't be shy. You can't be shy. You have to, if you're standing in the middle of Walmart, I go to this example, if you're standing in the middle of Walmart and you're buying a new movie and someone's like, oh, I love that movie, and they're like, talk to them, talk about it, and you're like, oh, I love film, you know? If you're looking at doing filmmaking or photography, that's the best way to promote your business is by talking to people. You know, I worked in a restaurant for the longest time, and that's how I promote my business is by giving them business cards, talking about my business, the film. You know, people are interested in that kind of stuff, and especially in our local area. You know, just don't be shy. Just network and talk to people about what you love to do. You know, they understand that this is your career path. They want you to succeed, especially at a young age.
Absolutely. Very good advice. So our special guest today, Mr. Steve Sensebaugh, as we said, from Du Bois. Are you from Du Bois?
I am not.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what. We got it up on the slide here now. You've aged a little bit since you sent us our bio. So tell us a little bit about Steve Sensebaugh, your background in education, and how you moved into starting your own small business, and then see that we have some well-crafted, well-prepared questions from our students, and they're going to take over the interview. So Steve, tell us about Steve Sensebaugh.
Well, I'm 22 years old now. I am from a small town called Strongstown, Pennsylvania, which is a little bit outside of Indiana. I attended the Penns Manor High School. I also attended the Indiana County VOTEC for digital media program. Went there for 3 years, studied Photoshop, graphic design, the very beginning, and then I went into video production, studying pre-production, production, post-production. And then after graduating from there, I went to the Du Bois Business College and studied the John Russo movie making program, which gave me the opportunity to be mentored by John Russo and Russ Streiner, which are the creators of the movie The Night of the Living Dead, if you've ever seen that. So I got mentored there for 18 months and was able to graduate there with a specialized associate's in specialized business degree, which now I have the opportunity to create my own business, which I have, which is specializing in videography, photography, and graphic design and filmmaking. So.
And the name of your business?
Everlasting Productions. We created a film, a feature-length film. It took over a year and a half to make, called Everlasting Freedom. It was a Christian film, and it gave us the opportunity to create our own business and grow forward with our business. So we ended up using the title Everlasting as our company's name. So
First full-length feature film.
yeah,
That's a lot of work.
It took over a year and a half to make, from very beginning to script writing to editing,
I think
post-production.
we actually have some pictures of your accomplishments. Written, produced, directed TV commercials, music videos, documentary short films, and feature films, of course. Won Filmmakers Day Out for The Final Waltz. Tell us about that.
Well, the Filmmakers Day Out was my first short film I've ever created by myself, script writing it, directing it, editing, and I submitted that into the Creative Minds Film Festival and actually ended up winning second place in that year. The Final Waltz was another short film the year after. Me and a couple other people teamed up, another director and producer that is actually living in Pittsburgh now and working in Pittsburgh. She and I collaborated and created a short film called The Final Waltz and actually won the Creative Minds Film Festival for that year. So.
Outstanding. And, of course, that brings us to the 48-Hour Film Festival, which we're going to discuss with you. And hopefully some of the kids here in the class will be interested in going down and taking part in your team.
Definitely.
Tell us a little bit about your win there. Apparently you won a runners-up.
It was.
Do they go in certain categories, like age categories, or how do they?
Well, what happens in the 48-hour film project is you have to create a 4 to 7 minute short film, and there's a prop, a character, line of dialogue that must be used in your film, and you pull a genre. So
And that's random.
and it's random. They have genres from action to drama to romance to detective to horror to you name it, sports. You know, they have different genres, and it's kind of luck of a draw. You pick one, and that's what you get, pretty much. And that year we won. It was the second year I've ever competed with our team. We actually had a team from the business college do it, and I was the editor for that team and production assistant and working, you know, pretty much everything, running around.
Sure.
Main editor is mostly, and we ended up pulling. It was film noir, so kind of like a detective, black and white. And we actually ended up winning Best Cinematography and Best Film Runner-Up out of 48 films.
Outstanding. Well, I think we got some pictures we're going to go ahead and bring up here. There's a little bit about the film festival. We'll come back to that. A little bit of Steve in action. Here we go. Tell us about Southpaw.
Southpaw, I was a background extra in Southpaw. They actually filmed that down in Indiana, PA. I'm at the Kovalchik Center. They actually filmed that also in Pittsburgh. Somehow I was contacting people through the agency, the casting agency, and was emailing them, going to their casting calls, trying to become a extra, just to see what it was like, what a Hollywood
Get your
production,
foot in the door
yeah,
kind of thing, right?
Hollywood production was all about, and I ended up being actually one of the main extras. I was actually in the boxing ring, the second row, which they call the high-end rollers. You know, that's what I'm casted as. So, actually, you can see me on IMDb. I have a credit in there.
Wow,
So,
right on, man. That's cool.
So it was cool, kind of get to see Jake Gyllenhaal, Rachel McAdams. You know, all
Like
those
right there.
Yeah, I was talking to Jake.
Yeah.
You know, Jake and we had a small conversation. We talked about some of his tattoos and stuff that he had to use in the film.
Of course.
So
What else would you talk about, right?
So it was kind of cool because actually his tattoos were a part of the film. So we
Uh-huh.
were talking about, and he couldn't tell me everything because you have to watch the film to find out and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it was kind of interesting to be a part of that and see what a Hollywood production was about. I got to talk to assistant directors, camera guys, to tell me about how their life went and, you know, how they got the job there and
Yeah.
how they're working, you know, for pretty much Hollywood movies.
And you know what? That's what you're doing here today. And that's what the Digital Edge is all about. For those of you that are just tuning in, my name is Sam Matera. I teach digital media arts at Jeff Tech here we have this incredible studio, amazing program, and amazing young people who are pursuing careers within the digital media arts pathways: web design, graphic design, video production, photography, audio production, and it all comes together. You know, bringing people here like you that have done it and walked that walk, especially at your age. You know, you're not too far ahead of these guys. You're where they were 4 or 5 years ago. You know, so now you're doing it. This is the real world. We appreciate you coming in, and we have some questions for you, crafted by the students. So why don't we start out here with Destiny? We'll turn her microphone on. Excellent. And you want to hold that right up to your mouth, kiddo.
What was your inspiration to create a team for the 48-hour video project?
Like I was saying,
question.
yeah, definitely. Like I was saying before, this is actually my 4th time doing the 48-hour film project. Before, the first time I ever found out about the 48-hour film project was at the Du Bois Business College. They did it year after year. So I did it for my first 2 years, and then since I graduated the year after, I didn't have a team to be a part of. Kind of took a break from it, and I was just like, all right, I kind of miss that. So when it came about, and I have my own company, and we were like, well, let's do this. This is something that we can get experience and a challenge for us that we can learn from. So we came up with the idea, and we talked about it. We came up with a team, got a lot of our film friends that we know, and cast and actors and actresses from local here, and we came up with a team. And we competed the first time this year in July. So we didn't win any awards, sadly, but for the first time as a team, we actually felt confident that we, was able to turn in a film on time with 8 minutes to spare exactly. But we were glad because a lot of teams couldn't turn their film in on time. So we were glad that we were able to.
And we have some samples that we're going to interject into the show here post-production. So we'll be cutting away every now and then and showing some samples of some of your student projects as well as maybe some of your professional projects. And did you send us a submission from last year, what you guys did in the film festival?
I believe so. Yeah,
Okay.
I think the Hills on Wheels and Cocoa Cops, I think I sent
Cool.
you.
We can go ahead and get that in, insert that in there. What along these lines, 48 hours to make a film. Now, 5 to 7 minutes doesn't sound like a long time, does it? No, it does. It is. You try to cram a bunch of information into 30 seconds, you'd be shocked at that challenge. How do you make a movie that's normally 80, 90 minutes, sometimes much longer? How do you make a movie in 5 to 7 minutes? That has to be incredibly challenging to write that dialogue and get your point across and get it all crammed in there. Tell us about that process.
Well, you go down to Pittsburgh and they tell you the character, the line of dialogue, a prop that must be in your film, the genre, and then you have to put that in your film somehow, and you don't know anything about it until you go down there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most challenging
So you
part.
really can't prepare.
You can't
other
prepare.
than,
You can't at all, and you can kind of get ideas, hoping you pull this genre, and you can maybe get a story around there, but it's the luck of the draw there.
So after you receive your assignment, like, what happens? Everybody you go out into the streets of Pittsburgh and film? Do you come back home and film? How does this work?
Well, what we have done in the past, we have drove back to Du Bois and we have filmed around here. And what we usually do in the car ride is we talk about ideas. We talk about what resources we already have, what we have for the cast and crew, what we have to be able to write a script.
Right.
So, this past film we did in July, we ended up getting detective/cop. And we ended up getting a sticky note for the prop, a chocolate tear for the character, and maybe I just don't find you funny was the line of dialogue. And we were like, what do we have? We have Du Bois, we have a park, we have alleyways, we have the business college, which we used as an office, and we have cop uniforms from previous films that we've made. So we used those resources and we're able to combine everything. And I felt like it was a good film. But we competed with a lot of other people that have been doing this for 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh 48 Hour has been there for, I think they said it was their 12th year this year. And there's 150 cities in the world that do it. Over 150 cities.
Oh, so this is not particular to a Pittsburgh thing.
No, it's Amsterdam,
So if you win for the state of Pennsylvania or whatever the region is there a chance to go on to some sort of international festival?
They call it Filmapalooza.
I didn't know. So we're going to Italy. When we going to Italy, kids? Huh?
Well,
That's
they go to Filmapalooza. All the winners from each city go to Filmapalooza, which is, sometimes they do it in California, New Orleans, somewhere. And then the winner of Filmapalooza actually is shown at Cannes Film Festival in Europe.
Wow.
Yeah. So that is huge.
Okay.
Last year,
that's going to launch a career.
Oh yeah, definitely.
To be able to say that I had a film aired at Cannes is just, wow, fantastic.
Yep.
Well, hey, we've got a list of questions here. Austin, my boy, let's see what you got.
So, whenever you first
Hold on, let me stop you, man. Remember we talked about it. I want you to sit up and keep your hands away from your microphone and your shirt because we're going to be getting rumbling on that microphone, okay? Go ahead.
So whenever you first got into the pathway, did it just come naturally, or did you want to do it forever? Was it like a spontaneous thing, or?
Well, It's a good question. But for whenever I was young, I never wanted to be in front of the camera. Never felt like I was the camera kind of person. I always wanted to play with the camera and work with it. Growing up watching movies and wanted to see what the behind the scenes was and how they actually created a film. That's when I was probably 8, 9 years old, wanted to figure out how that was done. And then just growing up, and then when I was able to see what the Indiana County Technology Center had to offer, I was able to see there and tour there and saw their digital media program, and it was like, wow, that's actually something I would love to do. And then I saw the culinary arts, and I was like, food, like that's something also I'd love to do. You know, who wouldn't want to cook all day and eat it? But you know, something just pulled me towards the digital media program, and I was like, I feel like that would just be a better career for me and something I would love doing every single day. Mm-hmm. So I think that's more, it grew on me through my years getting older, and it just was like, yeah, and I'm looking back on it, I'm happy with the path I took. So.
Outstanding. Hold that thought. Cody, if you would. Unplug that from that power strip. Okay. See that outlet over there? Plug it into that outlet and then plug that laptop in because we want to play this video and that laptop's about to die. Plug that in. I'll show this to you guys. Now, part of what you guys did down there in Indiana, we have Cody is stepping in here and hooking up our laptop, make sure we don't lose power. So we're going to go back to the beginning of this. I understand the kids got a kick out of this video. This was a project that you guys put together to promote your school, much like what we do here. And Austin, why don't you go ahead and reach behind you there, and let's pull this up. I thought the kids got a kick out of that this morning. So we'll play a moment. While he's setting this up, explain to us the setup here. What was the challenge? What you guys did here?
Well, this is Step to Tech video, and we did it for the Indiana County Technology Center. We kind of wanted to promote each program. We wanted to promote each program at the VOTEC. So we kind of saw some videos online about different ideas and stuff like that, and we came up with a kind of little rhyming idea for each program. So we worked with some few kids with each program, an individual kid from each program.
How hard was that to get kids from the other shops to come up with a rap, basically?
There was some that were ready to go. They couldn't wait, and then there were some like, really, do I have to do this? Like there was some that was challenging, but they were willing to sit down with us, talk about their program, figure out words that rhyme, and then be on camera.
Yeah. Well,
sing it.
We'll go ahead and cut away and play a clip real quick in the show so the kids can see this.
Ready? Yeah, I'm ready to plan for my future. Let's do this. That's the spirit. What are you guys waiting for? Come on,
Your high school kids are year after year planning a future to find a career. But how can you find the skills that you need to become the best and learn to succeed? Hi, Max Connor. Speaking, first you have to learn to step to tech. Let's step to tech. Let's step to tech. Let's step to tech. Step to tech. Step to tech. Step to tech. Step to tech.
Go forward a little bit. Austin, just go like about 8 minutes into it. I wanted to see what happened when you get to the other shops. Click it. There you go.
ICT's newest program is where we are now transitioning.
Heating ventilation and air conditioning. Learn how to use black iron pipe. First, we need to know how to use the right type.
Working with refrigeration and motor controls.
Expanding career options. Setting goals.
We earn certificates from the EPA. Keeping air quality in a cool way.
Okay, so we got a 12-minute video here. How long did it take you to produce this for the school?
It took about, I'd say 4 to 5 months.
Yeah.
With all the pre-production, production, and post-production.
You could let that roll.
Yeah.
And a big part of the challenge, as you know, is as you said, getting the other programs
involved.
To buy in,
you know.
yeah, it's difficult. It's
Yeah.
difficult. So my hat's off to you. I mean, I'm the guy that does this for our school, and I know how hard that is. It's challenging.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate the effort. Let's continue on. We got questions?
What's your favorite film?
Ooh, that's a tough one, huh?
Like film, like I've made, because I love all the films
I think
I've
they
made.
mean your favorite
Your
movie.
favorite movie? I Southpaw, has to be up there. Not that just because I was in it. I just thought it was, seeing the behind the scenes, and everything like that. There's Harry Potter movies. When I was younger, I always loved those. Comedy movies, grown ups, stuff like that, made by Dennis Dugan. Kind of just comedy movies, just make you laugh. There's a lot of different movies that I have that are, my favorites.
You have a favorite director?
Ooh. Dennis Dugan's pretty good with his comedy, but Steven Spielberg with American Sniper was really, really excellent.
I'm a fan
Not-
of the Coen brothers.
Coen Brother?
The Coen brothers.
Coen,
Oh,
yeah.
man. Love
There
them.
we go.
Out of the movies that you've created, which one's your favorite out of the ones you've created?
Everlasting Freedom, with it being a feature-length film, that just taking a lot of time and being able to produce something like that with all that
that's a
time
big
is
effort.
kind of, yeah.
How long did it take you to produce?
A year and a half. I think we started script writing, me and my writer, in February of 2015, and we just ended up premiering at the end of June of 2016.
Congratulations.
Like-
That's quite a milestone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that, but I think, like I said, every little film I've done it grows. You create something, and it's like, whoa, I can do this. Let me try to do this. So it's like a great experience.
Exactly.
To get better.
And that's how we do things here in our class. It's all about the exploration process and the knowledge building on the knowledge. And eventually you're going to get to where your dreams are. If you have a vision in your head, you just got to keep moving forward and learn from your successes, learn from your failures, try not to repeat the failures,
Yep.
try to repeat the successes, and keep moving forward.
Exactly.
So, very good advice. Let's keep going, guys.
I also see that you were part of the production team for the show Breaking Amish. How did you get involved in that, and what can you tell us about your experience working with that?
Well, I worked on like the Return to Amish TV show that airs on TLC. They were filming in Punxsutawney, PA, actually, where a lot of the cast members are from. And what happened was one of the students that I worked with at the Indiana Votech actually contacted me, and she was like, "Hey, I was not able to do this, but the producer is looking for someone," and I told them your name. So that's how I actually got in contact with the producer, was from a student
And
that I
does
worked
that
with.
not reinforce what we started the conversation with, the importance of networking?
Yep.
All right? You never know who is going to pull your business card out of your wallet 3 years down the road, and you made such an impression on them where they're going to go, you know what? I need to call this guy. I didn't need him at the time, but now I do, and now I know who to call.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yep, so that's how I got on Return to Amish, was, like I said, networking is the best thing I think in this industry. So
Very good advice.
and when I was on there, it was awesome to see a great production team work on there. They were from New York. People go into the place and you're like, I don't know anybody here.
Yeah.
It's different. You're scared. You are nervous, but you just got to keep it calm. You're like, hey, I've done this before. I've worked on projects my own, and I'm just going to follow their lead, do whatever they have to tell you to do. Like I had to drive to Pittsburgh and pick up some cast members, drive to the airport back and forth. I've never drove to the airport before. I had no clue what I was doing, but I acted like I did. So,
Kind of like we do every day in school. How about it,
you
kids,
gotta
right?
You got to just go with
But that's
it.
part of it, though.
Mhm.
I mean, if you get flustered, you can't show that you're flustered. If you can't find the answer, you can't show that that you're incompetent or that you're struggling with it. You go, you find the answer, you dig in. If you need help, you get the help.
Yep.
But you do it all with a smile, and you become confident in what you do. And that's going to resonate with your employer. And they're going to see that, hey, you know what? This person didn't cause drama. This person didn't drop the ball. They got it done. They said that they were going to do what they did what they said that they were going to do. And even if it wasn't perfect, they made the attempt. They tried,
Exactly.
put it out there. They were professional in the process. That's what it's all about.
Exactly.
What else we got, kids?
Now, back on the 48-hour film project, whenever you're heading to that, is there any set transportation? Do they have a group transportation? And what's the cost of it to enter if there is one?
That's a good question,
Yeah.
Austin.
Yeah. the 48 hour, like we were saying, it was held in Pittsburgh. So what our team does is we take 3 people down. So we don't take the whole team down to Pittsburgh. We usually take 3 or 4 people down. We pull the genre, do all their, the roles and stuff like that. And then what we do is we have a little small writing team, 3 or 4 people, the 5. Usually it's the people that go down, maybe a couple more people. We don't want the writing team to kind of be huge because then you have so many different personalities, different things being added into the writing group and the script. And with the short amount of time, you need something quick.
Yeah.
So we want people to be a part of it. So what we do is we tell them, we call them back. We're on our way back. This is what we got. We'll be back with a script, and we'll be writing with a script. And once we get back, we'll have people intertwine with us. Okay, this is what we have so far. What do you think? Where do you think the changes could be? And then at that time, in the middle of the night, it's Friday night into the Saturday morning, you're like, I give up. You're literally like, I'm tired, but you keep going. And then, Saturday you film it all. And that's where usually where we are, locations, depending, what we're trying to do this year is we're trying to get closer to Pittsburgh just to keep that travel time. Because that's one of the mistakes we learned. We had 2 hours to travel.
That's 4 hours you could have been working.
You could have been working.
So this year the plan is to shoot in or around Pittsburgh?
Closer, maybe, if we can. If we can't, we want to find a meeting place, kind of like a home base where we kind of can do everything there. Sleep there, kind of like with air mattresses, couches, whatever. Sleep there, work there, edit there. Even if we have to use it as a filming location, then we can use it there. So that's our plan for transportation as of now, but yet we haven't had anything set in stone. We're still in contact with people.
I know, I'm sure some of the kids in the audience have some questions for you. We're going to come to them in a moment. Let's go ahead and wrap these up. And do we have anything else in our prepared questions? Yeah? All right, go ahead, Destiny.
Do you have any advice for the students sitting in the audience?
Ooh, life advice and career advice.
Well, I kind of already pointed at it, but networking is, I think, the best advice I can give you right now is don't be shy with anyone. I think that's where I've gotten to. That's how I have gotten here is networking, is by talking to random people. Like the student that helped me get on Return to Amish, Southpaw, when I worked on there, I talked to the assistant directors, handed them my business card in hopes maybe if they're filming anything in Pittsburgh, call me, something like that. Just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to show what talents you have either. Post your videos on YouTube. Just, don't be scared. We're our own critiques. We're our own critics, I guess.
Well, they say you're your own worst critic.
Yeah, worst critic. When I look at something and I'm like, oh man, I need to fix that. Like with our feature-length film, we premiered it, and then even watching it up on the screen, I'm like, we need to fix that. And it's like, and everybody's telling me, oh my God, it's great. And I'm like, I want to fix that. And they're like, no, like, don't. Like, that's great. Let it ride, keep it going. And it's like,
that's one of the hardest things about being involved in the arts. I mean, I remember I used to front a rock band, and there were times where on stage it wasn't clicking, and it just didn't feel right. Mm-hmm. And I would get all like, ugh, and I'd get off and we'd take a break, and people would come up and be like, that was the most amazing we ever heard you sound. But to me, it was a complete disaster. It's weird how that works,
It is.
But you can't hang up on that. You got to move forward anyway. Put it out there. You guys watch TV. You see mistakes all the time. It's classic now. How many booms have you seen floating in the background? Boom mics, So everybody makes mistakes. The key is pushing forward, finishing it, again, trying to learn from those mistakes and not repeat them and move on with your successes. So, studio audience, how many of you guys are interested in maybe starting your own business someday? Here's a young man that's doing it. Kate, you have a question? You want to pass the mic around, please? Go ahead and fire that up. Make sure it's on green, guys. All right. I'm not sure if Kate's in the scene or not, but we got Kate Duffy. Go ahead.
What's your favorite genre to film and produce?
Genre of film or genre to film?
To film.
Interesting. Ooh. Okay. You're making a movie. What genre do you enjoy working in?
Drama or romance. I think those two are like the easiest to make. To be honest, because if you look at all the other genres, sci-fi, horror, I think those are the ones you kind of have to. Sci-fi, you have to do a lot of extra work. I feel like with
well, you got the effects.
yeah, effects and stuff like that, which, you know, I could easily do. People, you can hire someone to easily do.
Sure.
But I just, you know, literally sitting down and writing a romance or drama, I think just the easiest. I'm not trying to get the easiest way out, but I think it's easier to do. And you might
it's
have
more real life. It's more you're
yeah,
capturing real life.
and that's where
so
you
really,
have,
if you have a good story and good actors, it can take care of itself.
yeah,
if you're-
exactly. And like we just created a Christian film, and you know we had the resources to us to do that. You know, with romance and drama, you might have the resources to easily do that. With sci-fi, you might not be able to travel to the moon. You know, or something like that. And you know, horror is a hard genre to film. It is one of the hardest, and we're gonna try to attempt this at the next 48-hour film project because it's all horror themed. But horror, I think, is the hardest because you got to have that urge to scare someone.
So wait a minute. So you said it's not. I thought it was random. They were signing the job.
The normal one, and that's in July. October is horror themed, so they do strictly horror ones.
Oh.
Yeah, and they since it's around Halloween.
Ah.
Yeah.
So why is it so difficult to film a horror movie?
Because I think a lot of people don't scare easy, and some do, and you have to show that on film. You know, and you could scare someone by hiding behind a door in real life or hiding somewhere, but doing it on film is a little different. You gotta have that surprise really quickly, and it has to happen quick. So I think horror is a hard one to film. It's fun, but it's hard.
I would think it'd be difficult too because there's got to be so many cliches. Just like with rock music, how many times can you play the same 5 chords over and over and over? But it's been done since the '60s, you know. So finding the model, finding the tried and true tricks of the trade, finding the tried and true scenes and techniques that have always worked, and taking a new spin on them has got to be really difficult because there's nothing new under the sun, as they say, you know. So I can imagine that's got to be quite a challenge.
Yeah.
And horror is something that's personal too.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
like you said, what scares Xavier may not scare Jade, may not scare Brooke. So
Yeah.
how do you find that common ground?
Yeah, and even with the effects too, you gotta have makeup effects, stuff like that
Absolutely.
too with horror possibly, and it's, you know, you gotta have it dead on, you gotta have it right. You can't, you know, it's difficult sometimes. It can be difficult.
That was a great
But,
question,
yeah.
Kate. Any other questions from our studio audience? Cody, you want to pass the mic on over there? And make sure that it's green. Okay, you got it?
What inspired you to make Step to Tech?
Well,
That's a great question. Actually, good question.
that was kind of like Mr. Otero's your teacher. We had a teacher that kind of was inspired by it, by a couple videos online. She saw some other schools doing kind of more of a dance video, song video, and she wanted to do something different and wanted to do kind of like a promotional video for the school.
Right.
So she kind of got the idea, and we kind of just, you know, she gave it to the students, and she was like, "What do you think of this?" And we kind of looked at each other, and we were like, "This could happen. This, yeah, you know, this will be fun." And like we said, we were like, "I don't know how many people are going to get involved, but you know," and we were able to sit down and write the script and bring every single day. We brought a different student in from each program and talked to them, and we were like, "What's your program about? Give us a few choice words that you use every single day in your program." And that's what we did, and we came up with rhymes, and it took 4 to 5 months to film.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, you really think about that. A 12-minute video, 4 to 5 months. Did you think it would take that long? You think so? Yeah. Well, anywhere. I mean, it could be that way in the real world as well. You know. You want to hand the mic over to Rachel? Rachel, why don't you comment on that? What you were saying? What do you think the big make sure it's turned on? What do you think the challenge would be and why it would take so long?
Working with other people in general. 'Cause they don't have the same idea that you have.
Exactly. There, you know, a lot of people in our program areas, in the other program areas, kind of looked at us and we were like, "Oh, they're making another video again.
Yeah.
They're making another video again." And come on, I just want to work on my own projects. And we were grateful for that. Some of them would take a day off to film with us. We were grateful for that. That was the challenging part. And then, like you said, even in our own crew, a lot of people had different ideas. But, you know, you have to work together and kind of find a common ground. And as a director, even in films now that I create, if someone has a different idea, what I usually end up doing is I film that idea, and then I film what I want. And then we look at it in post-production. and we figure out, oh, okay, this could work, this could not work. Okay, that's usually what we do, and that's what we kind of even did when we did Step to Tag.
That is a great piece of advice. That's why I always tell you guys, you know, somebody will come up with an idea, and everybody, and maybe it's not flying, but it's really, it is quite an art and a challenge to be able to see something in your head and be able to get that across and sell that concept and idea and paint that picture to people. That's difficult to be able to do. So we don't ever want to shoot down a good idea, or let's say we don't ever want to shoot down a brand new idea unless it's so over the top, it's ridiculous. But sometimes it takes moving forward with it a little bit to see it. And then one person goes, you know what, that kind of worked, but this didn't work. Well, maybe we could do. And then next thing you know, an idea that wasn't so hot, because other people throw on and throw into it, it builds into something completely unique that, you know, again, to use the analogy as a guitar player, I might come up with 4 chords and a melody, but then the bass player is going to add, the other guitar player is going to add, the drummer is going to add their part, and you have something that's completely unique that couldn't have come out that way had it just come from one person. You know? So let's talk about teamwork, the importance in your life of learning to work together as a team.
Well, it's hard. It is hard because everybody has their different personalities, their different views on things. And you kind of just have to kind of find a common ground in the middle and kind of work with them. And, you know, I have a couple partners in my company, so we work well together. We're like, all right, let's talk about this. Is this what we want to do? Yeah, let's add this. Maybe, you know, and a couple of them have had businesses before that where they kind of have been down this road where this is my first business running. So they kind of give me a little more intelligent because they have experience and I don't with running businesses. So I think that is easier that way, to listen to them and kind of put in my words too, and then we kind of find a common ground and work together. Teamwork is hard. It is. It is hard. When I was a student, you know, in high school at VOTAC, and it was, you know, I had my own ideas. They had their own ideas. And it's like, who can run to the teacher first to see which idea is better, pretty much, you know.
And then you're limited in resources. You're limited with your time, you know. I mean, and time is our most valuable resources,
you know. And teamwork is the best thing, I think, you know. Do you think you can create a film by yourself? You think no? A 50 to an hour a minute film by yourself? Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's why you need to have teamwork. I think teamwork's one of the best things, and that's, like I said, go back to networking. You know, networking is how you find your team. You find your team by talking to people.
And I think the key point here to remember is the finding the common ground. Because let's face it, you're not going to like everybody that you work with, you know, but you got to learn to get along for the sake of the project and getting it done. True.
Exactly. Even when we do the 48 hours, you know, there's times where I've gotten 6 hours of sleep that whole weekend, and at the end, I'm ready to blow up at someone.
Sure.
You know, just little things, you know, like that, but you bite your tongue and you're like, gotta get this film done. You're there for one reason, and you're there to get this project done. Even when you're doing a teamwork, you're there to do that. You're not there to get mad. You're not there to get happy. You know, you're there to get this project done.
Absolutely. Any other questions from our audience? Rachel McInich.
So the business college just like closed like a couple weeks ago. What are your feelings on that?
Wow.
That's a great question. I mean, that had to be kind of tough to hear that coming.
Yeah, you know, I got my education there. I graduated in 2014. It was kind of a shock to me. I feel bad for a lot of the staff members and the students that are there now. What happened? They ended up closing the John Russo movie making program a year after I graduated. So that program was done before the college was done. But they still taught video in their entertainment production business a little bit. But I just feel bad for the students that were there, the staff that have been there for 10, 20, 30 years that now have to find another job, students that have to transfer to different colleges. It's a shock. It was a shock. Those are the only words I can say about it. I can't. Sure. I'm surprised.
On the topic of education, you went, like these kids, a 4-year technology school, CTE school. You went to a business college, not a 4-year college. Are you planning on stopping here? Are you planning on certifications? Are you looking at pursuing a 4-year degree? What are your goals in terms of an education, or do you feel like you're good with that and you're going to focus on your own business aspect right now?
I'm good with that. I'm going to focus on my own business for now. Someone told me in the industry that they never went to college. They never went to college.
That's funny. I tell my kids this all the time. For 25 years before I started teaching, I've made money. I mean, I've done work for banks, for colleges, traveled. I've never had a client say to me, pretty impressive resume and portfolio, Mr. Otero. Where'd you get your degree from? I was never asked that. Mm-mm. And it was, what mattered was, did they hear about you from somebody that they know and trust? Yep. And were you highly recommended? And does the quality of the work meet their standards? Yep. And is the price point right? Yep. You know? So I am certainly not poo-poo in college. I'm in college myself at 48 years old. I'm still finishing up my degree. There's definitely a place for it. But in your pathway, you went right out of an associate's program into starting your own business, and you're telling me what I've heard, which is I've never been asked, you know? So you haven't seen that, the lack of the 4-year degree in your pathway, you haven't seen that as an impediment to success in any way?
No. If you're in this industry, I think your talent and your experience and your skills show who you are. And I'm not dissing education in any way. I think education's the best.
Absolutely.
You know, you guys have gotten your start early, doing your career path here. I got my start early too. And that's, you know, when I got out of college, I was like, all right, I had 4 years experience in high school. I have 18 more months. I have 5 or 6 years of experience in the field of working in video production. That's where I looked at it, and I was like, and a lot of jobs, like the Return to Amish, they asked me that kind of stuff. How many years have you worked in film? I've said 6, 7 years. It was a lot of education experience.
And you had the portfolio to show it.
Yeah. I've worked on, videos. I showed them videos, my films that I've done, commercials that I've done in college, short films that I've won. So it's, I'm not saying college is a bad thing. I went through the whole college and learned more, you know, stuff that I never thought I would never know, you know. So college is a great thing. And, you know, but this industry, you can do everything off your own talent and your skills and your experience.
Great advice. Any other questions from our student panel? No? Very good. I think this was very informative. Steve, why don't we go ahead and I'll turn it over to these two and see if they have any last minute questions for you. No, we're good. I think we've covered a lot of ground here. Our special guest on this episode of The Digital Edge has been Mr. Steve Sensebaugh, resident of DuBois from here in central Pennsylvania. And hopefully we'll be able to get a team together. Why don't you wrap this up with telling the kids, what are you looking for in a team member to go with you to Pittsburgh? Let's talk about the criteria, what kind of personality that you're going to need, what type of work ethic, what kind of technical experience. Who would you like to see down there with you in Pittsburgh?
Well, what we'd like to see this year is someone that's willing to drop and do anything. It's 48 hours to make a film. It's fast-paced, crazy. It is.
Well, they're all used to this place, so they'll handle that aspect.
Yeah, that's, you know, someone that's committed, ready to, you know, run to get water if we have to get water, you know. If you're willing to be a cast member, if we need someone that's willing to be a cast member for what kind of script we write, then we need someone to jump up and be like, yes, I'll do this, you know, I'll be an actress or an actor.
That's cool.
Someone, you know, like that.
What about the technical side? What kind of experience are you looking for?
You know, anybody that knows how to run sound, what they're listening to, even in editing, even when we need to have sleep, when we're sleeping, and someone that knows a little bit about editing. Behind the scenes photography would be great because we haven't been able to do that too. So even a photographer, stuff like that, someone that knows how to run a sound boom, even an extra camera, it's like a camera operator, lighting, stuff like that we need.
Great.
So PAs.
Any of our students that are interested, we'll put them in touch with you, and you can view their portfolios because many of them are getting together their works right now and going out for job interviews and whatnot. So, we'll keep in touch with you. Mr. Sensebaugh, thank you so much for coming in, Steve.
No problem.
Greatly
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Kids, what'd you think?
It was awesome to meet him and see his background.
Learned quite a bit, too. Yeah? What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, I thought it was a great experience because he taught us a lot, and a lot of the stuff
that he does, I relate to it too because of my YouTube channel, and I do videos and live streaming and all that kind of stuff.
And again, I really wanted to point this out because Steve was right where you guys are right now, just down the road in Indiana, sitting in a high school media lab, wondering and dreaming and thinking and scheming and planning his future. And several years down the road, you know, there we are. So, and remember the networking thing. What's going to happen if 10 years from now, I see that Mr. Sensebaugh is working on some new hot big television show, and we pipe him in via Skype and do an interview with the kids, you know? I mean, you think about the possibilities here. You never know where the people that you've met in your life are going to end up going. You make an impression. You make sure that they know how to get hold of you and when you're available, and keep in touch. You know, that's what it's all about. We say this all the time. This business is not just about technology or art. This is all about people. And that's what the Digital Edge is about. My name is Sam Otero, coming to you from the studios of the IT Academy at Jeff Tech. We're going to go ahead and take us out with a little bit of fun music. And props to our board operator, Mr. Austin Smith, and Cody Deffabaugh over here off camera. And we've got Don Lemons and Zach Munn in the audio, manning audio, making sure that audio is crystal clear. And kids, thank you so much for coming in and partaking, and for your questions and your sincere interest in Mr. Sensebaugh and his career. Thank you so much to my guest host, Mr. Austin Holliday and Destiny Gleave, and our guest, Steve Sensebaugh. You've been watching The Digital Edge. I'm Sam Otero, coming to you from the studios of the IT Academy at Jeff Tech, and we're out. Reminder, check us out online at DMA Studio.